We are good. We're here. We are here. We are here. These are here. You are here. I am here. Howdy, y'all. It's Howdy. Today, I'm super excited because we are going to be looking at the Enhancement Shaman Tree that just came out yesterday. Didn't record this yesterday because I was busy. Deal with it. So I am going to go ahead with the look at the Enhancement Tree, and I'm super excited to jump on into this. I've looked through them already a little bit, so I kind of have an idea of what I want to say, some of the things that I like, some of the things that I don't like. So let's just hop right into it. First thing we notice has enhancement. I thought this was kind of weird, but we are given Chain Lightning. Of all the spells, that's probably the one I was probably least excited for. Obviously single target, that's you're not touching Chain Lightning in single target, so fine. But you couldn't, I understand that they couldn't give Storm Strike, they couldn't give Lava Lash to Resto or Enhance or Elemental, just because that doesn't really seem to make sense for them. So it is what it is. And then piggybacking off of that, but the opposite, we have Maelstrom Weapon, which is interesting. You know, it's given to Enhance for free for obvious reasons, but you could conceivably have an Elemental or Resto Shaman talent into Maelstrom Weapon, and I think we could either see some really stupid people doing that, or we could see some really sweaty people doing that, and time will tell which is which. So just kind of looking at it, first things we have Frost Shock and we have Flurry. Flurry is back. I like Flurry, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna fill this out kind of randomly. I think mainly single target is kind of my goal today, but we'll see what happens. Next is Frost Shock. Obviously, that's kind of a filler. That's something that we're gonna need in our rotation, most likely. So yes, we're gonna take it. And this is where we already come into one of my gripes with this tree. Is you have Cleanse Spirit, you have Hex, and you have Focused Insight, which reduces the mana cost of your next heal by 10% and increases its healing effectiveness by 15%. None of these have anything to do with damage. And I don't know about you, but I'm not using Cleanse Spirit all that much. Certainly not enough to, dare I say, waste a talent point on it. So I'm not gonna touch Hex. I'm not gonna touch Cleanse Spirit. I'm not even gonna touch the heal right now. It is notable that Astral Shift is right here up at the top, and we're almost always gonna have to spec into that. That's just something we need. Historically, Enhance has been pretty squishy. I've played Enhance since Wrath of the Lich King. Actually, since Burning Crusade. I hit max level in Burning Crusade shortly before Wrath of the Lich King came out. But Astral Shift is something we're gonna need. Under Astral Shift, we have just kind of some Ghost Wolf utility. It's fine. Again, nothing super exciting. And then something to buff our Astral Shift. Reduces the cooldown by 30 seconds and increases its duration by 6 seconds. Or you could choose for extra damage reduction. I'm sure we're gonna go into that, but Wind Shear is also here. We're definitely gonna have to go into that. Cap Totem is also underneath it, which I'm sure we're gonna want. I'm sure we're gonna need that, as well as Tremor. And I'm interested to see how much we're gonna need Tremor Totem, because there are a couple of opportunities to use Tremor in Mythic Plus. I don't think in Sepulchre of the First Ones we actually need Tremor Totem at all. I'm mostly playing on my lock, so I don't have that utility, but I don't think it's huge. And then off to the left here, we have fire and frost damage increased by 3%, which could be interesting. Once we get in here, we get Lava Lash. Obviously, Frost Shock is going to be buffed by that, so it could be interesting there. That might be worth taking, but for now, let's see what I got. This buff to cap totem is also going to be pretty interesting. And honestly, I mean, you can see that we've only spent 5 talent points, and I'm not in love with any of these 3 items. I'll probably want to take this one of these. Honestly, it doesn't really matter, especially for right now. And I'll do Tremor, and I'll buff my Astral Shift. Okay. Moving on to the next row, we have Spirit Walker's Aegis, which, I mean, we won't be using Spirit Walker's Grace. At least I freaking hope not. So I'm not super worried about that. And then we have a choice between Earth Grab and Wind Rush. So I'm sure a lot of people are going to want to choose Wind Rush. Here we also have a choice between Purge and a new talent called Greater Purge. So Greater Purge removes 2 beneficial magic effects, whereas Purge only does 1, but the Greater Purge has a 15-second cooldown. The single Purge does not. So I don't know if Greater Purge is going to be that beneficial. Again, we'll have to see what, you know, the bosses and the Mythic Plus dungeons kind of look like, but I don't really see, I can't think of a situation where you need to remove 2 buffs from a target. That's probably very helpful in PvP, but you know, PvE, which is what I mainly focus on, I don't really see the use for it. This next one, it's a buff to Hex. I didn't take Hex, so screw it. Nature's Fury increases the critical strike chance of your nature spells by 2%. Obviously, Storm Strike, which is what we get in our enhancement tree, is nature. Probably going to want to buff that. Honestly, I can't think of many other nature damage. I don't know if Windfury is physical. I think Windfury is physical. Yes, it is. So, I mean, I'm sure we'll take it, but it's kind of interesting that we only really have 1 spell. 2 spells, that and Lightning Bolt. Nature damage, yep, okay. Below that, this is a Reincarn buff. For lack of a better term, that's probably going to be worth it. Elemental Warding reduces damage taken by 3%, and Nature's Guardian, which is kind of what we've had for a few expansions now, instantly heals yourself for 20% when you fall below 35% health. I think that's going to be really good. We'll probably take both of those, even though currently on the calculator these numbers don't seem to change, but I'm sure that's just kind of a calculator thing. And then Winds of Alakir increases movement speed bonus of Ghost Wolf, which is cool. When you have 3 or more totems active, which we'll get into a little bit later, movement speed is increased by even more. And then over here, this is mostly kind of for Resto and Ellie, but we could conceivably go down that path. You could reduce the cooldown of your totems by 2 seconds. Seems fine. I'm sure that's a 2-point talent, so you could get it down to 4 seconds. And that would be really beneficial for Healing Stream, which we could take if we take Elemental Warding. So Elemental Warding is just a flat damage reduction. I'm not going to take it quite yet. So Improved Lightning Bolt, I'm sure we're going to want that for single target. Give us a little bit more damage. Now this is where things kind of get interesting for me. Actually, I'll say this. So Gust of Wind is back, and Spirit Walk. I do like the fact that Spirit Walk removes all movement and parrying effects, but Gust of Wind has a 20-second cooldown, which 20-second cooldown, very useful. Spirit Walk on a 1-minute cooldown, I don't know if it's that good, but just for me, I'm going to take Spirit Walk. So I need to take one more, so I'm going to go ahead. I'll just take 1 stack of Elemental Warding so we can open up the next row here. For Resto, underneath Healing Stream Totem, or for us as well, underneath Healing Stream Totem, you have Swirling Currents. So using Healing Stream increases the healing of your next 3 Healing Surge spells. Again, as Enhanced, we're not really going to be using... hopefully shouldn't be using Healing Surge quite that often, so that's probably not worth it. So I'm not touching it. Nature Swiftness, you push it, something becomes instant cast. Fine. Again, I don't think we'll need it, especially because we obviously have Maelstrom Weapon. So I think that's a little lackluster. And then I don't know if I talked about Totemic Projection. Basically just moves your active totems to wherever you want them to be, which is fine. My initial thought was that we would want to go, as Enhanced, we'd want to go right down the bottom, right down the right side here. So I looked at the bottom, and basically we have Call of the Elements, which resets the cooldown of your most recently used totem with a base cooldown shorter than 3 minutes. I don't quite know how this is going to work, because we're obviously throwing down Windfury Totem. Spoiler alert, it's a talent now. We're constantly throwing down Windfury Totem, which doesn't have a cooldown. So if I throw down a Capacitor Totem and then I refresh my Windfury Totem, does Call of the Elements work on my Capacitor Totem or my Windfury? Because my Windfury doesn't have a cooldown. So I'm assuming if it has a base cooldown greater than 0, it'll do that. But if your cooldown is 0, it can't reset the cooldown, right? You know, I don't totally know how that's gonna work. But the spell underneath it, basically, Call of the Elements affect an additional totem. So your last 2 totems that you used, and then reduces the cooldown of Call of the Elements by 60 seconds, because it's a 3-minute cooldown and goes down to a 2-minute cooldown. And I'm looking at it, and yes, you can talent into Healing Stream, you can talent into Capacitor Totem, you can talent into Windfury Totem, and you'll see in a little bit they have... Oh, it's not even a totem. Huh, interesting. Yeah, so I mean, we basically have 3 totems. We have Healing Stream, we have Windrush or Earth Grab, we have Cap, and we have Windfury. And I don't know if it's going to be worth resetting the cooldowns on it. I don't know if you're going to need Windrush more than twice a minute, or more than once every 2 minutes. I don't know if you're going to need Cap Totem more than once a minute. Static Charge, you can actually get it down to 40 seconds. So I don't know, is that worth it? I don't know. I think it's a little lackluster. And then down here we have Totemic Focus, which basically just increases the radius of the totems and the duration of Earthbind and Earth Grab. Oh yeah, and the duration of everything. Okay, so fine. Again, that's not a huge bonus, and it's a nice utility, I guess. Doesn't make me overly excited. Underneath it, Poison Cleansing Totem. How many Enhanced Shaman are gonna choose Poison Cleansing Totem and run with it often. I could see maybe in one dungeon. I could see in one dungeon there's going to be some people switching out talents and say, oh yeah, that's right, I need Poison Cleansing Totem for this boss or for this wing or for this stretch between two bosses. Like, I can't see that being a huge benefit. So I'll leave it at that. And then there's also Thunderstorm, which we can get as Enhance, which I'm kind of excited for because it makes sense that we are in melee, so we should be able to call down a bolt of lightning and just smash everybody. It doesn't do a lot of damage. You can see it only does 10% of spell power, where you'll see Storm Strike does 107% of attack power. So, I mean, it's not going to be a lot, but it's kind of a cool utility, I'm not going to lie. And then you can actually buff it with Thunder Shock down on the bottom. Thunderstorm knocks enemies up instead of away. So I think that would be really good for Mythic Plus, because you essentially are getting a AoE interrupt on top of Capacitor Totem, which is an AoE stun, you know, and obviously Wind Shear, which only has a 12-second cooldown. I mean, we could be the Interrupt Kings next expansion. We just have to hope everything else goes right. And then underneath, I should point out there's Lightning Lasso as well. So that grips the target in lightning, stunning them, deals 700% of spell power, which is pretty good, over 5 seconds. And it's channeled. And you can move while it's channeled. So I think that'll be really good. You know, that'll be good for single target fights where you need to move, but you can just run and just lasso that crap as you're moving. So I think that's kind of cool. I think that's going to be probably pretty useful. Maybe a single target, think maybe Tyrannical Weeks or raid encounters. I'm not sure if it would work on raid bosses if the bosses can't be stunned. If it can't be stunned, I'm curious if it still does the damage. I'm not sure. Underneath that, oh, I gotta scroll down. Tranquil Air Totem. No one's gonna take this. Summons a totem at your feet for 20 seconds that prevents cast pushback and reduces the duration of all incoming interrupt effects by 50% for the party members within 30 yards. Who's gonna take that? Especially in a raid setting. I could see it in a non-raid setting. I could see it in PvP, sure. But that just seems silly. And then there's Stone Skin Totem, which just reduces physical damage taken by party members within 30 yards. Again, that's pretty lackluster, especially for Enhance. Like, what do I want? What do I want as Enhance? I can have an extra totem. I could have damage reduction, physical damage reduction, or you come over here and Ancestral Guidance, which I think is a resto talent, for the next 10 seconds, 2-minute cooldown, 25% of your damage and healing is converted to healing on up to 3 nearby injured party or raid members. Again, not super exciting for enhancement, just because I see this and okay, great, I can help heal. I can help off heal a tiny bit. Like, that's fine, but I don't see that being very exciting. And this Surging Shields either. You know, this increases damage dealt by Lightning Shield and increases, where's Enhance? I'm reading Elemental and Resto at the same time. Increases damage dealt by Lightning Shield by 50%, has an additional 25% to trigger Maelstrom Weapon. So that's nice, but I don't know how often that procs, just because you need to get hit. You need to I think you need to take physical damage in order for that to pop, in order for that to get triggered. And we're just not, we shouldn't be getting hit. Go with the flow, reduces the cooldown of Spirit Walk and Gust of Wind. I think that's worth it. Call of the Elements, we already been through that. So I don't love anything down here. I'm gonna take either Lightning Lasso. I'll take Thunder Shock. Well, I said I was doing single target, so I'll take this. And I don't want to take any of these. That's kind of where this tree falls apart, in my opinion. So enough on the class tree for now. Let's go to the real meat and potatoes of this, is the enhancement tree. Love how I say now we're getting in the good stuff 20 minutes in, but this is where it gets good. So obviously Storm Strike right up there at the top. I wouldn't expect anything less. That is the Enhancement Shaman damage dealer that we know and love, going back to Burning Crusade Classic, all of that. So underneath that, we have Windfury Weapon. Obviously, we're going to take that. Lava Lash, probably going to need to take that. And then I want to quick hop down to look at this first here to kind of see, well, I'll take a look at the bottom here just to kind of see where we're headed. So this was a shock for me. Splintered Elements. Lightning Bolt generated by Primordial Wave increases your haste by 6% for 12 seconds. That's right, folks. Primordial Wave is in the talent tree. Now, for anyone wondering, there's no Chain Harvest, there's no Kyrian Vesper Totem, and there's no whatever the other one was. It's just Primordial Wave. So I don't know if that's good or bad. I honestly don't think I used Primordial Wave as enhancement, so I was kind of surprised to see it in the tree. But it sounds alright. Blast your target with Primordial Wave, dealing 65% of spell power, dealing elemental damage, and apply Flame Shock to an enemy or heal an ally. Does it only apply one? Is that a single target spell? I thought this was an AoE spell, but now I'm looking at it. It says blast your target and apply Flame Shock to an enemy or heal an ally for that. Your next lightning bolt will also hit targets affected by your Riptide. I assume that Riptide there at the very bottom should mean Flame Shock. So your next lightning bolt will also hit all targets affected by your Flame Shock for 150% of normal damage. It seems alright. It seems pretty decent. So I think that's fine. It's a that's only a 45-second recharge, 45-second cooldown, so not bad. Primordial Wave generates 5 stacks of Maelstrom Weapon, is right underneath that, so I think that, that could be a good burst. You know, you hit Primordial Wave, then you hit Elemental Blast, something like that. That could be really good. Lightning Bolt generated by Primordial Wave increases your haste by 6% for 12 seconds. I think that could be really good. Just because, you look at this, you can use this every 45 seconds and then you get a 12-second buff. 12-second haste buff. That's pretty good. Down here, obviously, Feral Spirits return. They have never left as far as I'm concerned. Wolves aid you in battle for 15 seconds. And then underneath it, Witch Doctor's Wolf Bones. Probably one of the best single target legendaries that we had. Certainly for at least part of the expansion, part of Shadowlands. Increases the chance to gain a stack of Maelstrom Weapon by 2%. And when you do, the cooldown of Feral Spirits is reduced by 1%, by 1 second. So 2-minute cooldown, I'm sure you'll get that down to 90 seconds or so. through that. So unless it's whenever you gain a stack of Maelstrom Weapon from spirits, then it'll probably only be like, let's see, 2-minute cooldown, 120. You could probably get it down to about 105 seconds, 15 seconds off of that. And then down here, I think this is really nice because you basically get to choose what buff you want for your feral spirits. So top one, Alpha Wolf, Crash Lightning causes your wolves to attack nearby enemies for the next 8 seconds. So you kind of got an AoE spin on feral spirits. And then the bottom one is Elemental Spirit, which we've had in the game fairly recently. Reduces the cooldown of feral spirits by 30 seconds and causes your feral spirits to be imbued with Fire, Frost, Lightning, enhancing your abilities. Kind of cool. If I remember correctly, I think Fire did more damage than Frost or Lightning when we had this last time, so that could have a little RNG to it, but you know, we'll see. Down here you also have Elemental Assault, so Storm Strike damage is increased by 8%, and it grants a stack of Maelstrom. Could be good. And then down here, Ascendance is back. Ascendance has been pretty lackluster, I think, since Legion was the last time I was like super excited to pop Ascendance. There were some parts of Shadowlands where I enjoyed using Ascendance, but it hasn't been super great recently. Underneath it, consuming 5 stacks of Maelstrom Weapon will reset the cooldown of Storm Strike and cause your next Storm Strike to deal 15% increased damage. So, you know, you could, in theory, you could have Primordial Wave and Ascendance. So you could pop Primordial Wave, which gives you, if you talent into it, 5 stacks of Maelstrom Weapon. And then use Elemental Blast, Lightning Bolt, whatever. And that gives you an automatic Storm Strike. And, you know, you could just Storm Strike for days, especially when while Ascendance is active, generate 1 Maelstrom Weapon stack every 1 second. And this bottom one is while Ascendance is active, Windstrike automatically consumes up to 5 Maelstrom stacks and discharges a Lightning Bolt. So you could just be sitting there smacking Windstrike for the entire Ascendance window. Almost the entire Ascendance window. It's not going to be quite that crazy, but I think that could be fun. These all could be fun. These all could be exciting to use. You know, I think reading it, Primordial Wave might be the best one for single target. Feral Spirits gives you that kind of AoE kind of flavor that you're looking for. So I think those are fun and interesting, and we'll have to see what the balancing is, because you know at some point someone's gonna theory craft out there and say you have to take Primordial Wave and you have to take Ascendance, or you have to take Feral Spirits. I'm guessing Feral Spirits is gonna be better. I'm guessing these two are gonna be better, but you know, we'll just have to wait and see. But we have to get down there first. So I'm still up here. I want to look at Doom. So I want to look at this so we know kind of where we want to go. So I'm looking at Doom Winds. Increase your... So this is not tied to Windfury Totem anymore. You can increase your chance to activate Windfury Weapon by 75% and increases damage dealt by Windfury Weapon by 25% for 8 seconds. And that's on a 1-minute cooldown. So this is just a cooldown now. It's not, you don't have to drop Windfury, you don't have to do anything crazy, you just have to push a button. Kind of interesting. Sundering is back. We all know what that is. Line of Earth gets smashed in front of you. Now this whole string kind of intrigued me a little bit. So we have improved Maelstrom Weapon, increases the damage or healing of spells that it affects by 20%. Underneath it, you have Maelstrom Weapon can now stack an additional 5 times. So you can get up to, I think it's up to 10 stacks with that. Yes, up to 10 stacks. Now down here, says Maelstrom, you can choose your damaging or healing spells will now consume up to 10 Maelstrom Weapon stacks. So you can build up 10 and then release one hell of a lightning bolt. Maelstrom, you could also talent into Focus Maelstrom. Maelstrom Weapon increases the damage or healings of spells it affects by 5%. So it'll be interesting to see if what's better, a 10 Maelstrom Weapon stack lightning bolts or two 5% buffed lightning bolts. I'm guessing the 10 Maelstrom stacks are going to be better just because it's one GCD, but I don't know what the scaling is going to be. Windfury Totem is back right next to that. Over here, this is kind of an interesting one, and I don't know how I feel about this one quite yet. So there's Fire Nova and there's Hailstorm. Both of these seem to kind of be AoE. So first is Eruptive Bolt of fiery damage from all targets affected by your Flame Shock, dealing damage up to 6 targets within 8 yards of your Flame Shock target. So you could, in theory, Flame Shock 4 different things and then use that and just melt everything. Kind of cool. Hailstorm, you can also choose Hailstorm, which each stack of Maelstrom Weapon consumed increases the damage of your next Frost Shock by 15% and causes your Frost Shock to hit 1 additional target per Maelstrom Weapon stack. So again, this is an AoE choice right here. They're both AoE. And I think it's kind of silly because you are legitimately going to go with whatever one does more damage. If you can Flame Shock everything, great, take Fire Nova. If you can or you don't, good, take Hailstorm. And then over here, Elemental Weapons increases all fire, frost, and nature damage dealt by 5%. Feel like that one's going to be a pretty obvious choice, especially when it's a two-tier one, so 2-tier talent, so we can get up to 10%. So I'm just gonna do my improved. I assume this is improved Lava Lash and not just Lava Lash. These both are called Lava Lash right now. And then we get another buff. Each time Flame Shock, Primal Lava Actuators, that was actually in Shadowlands as well. As a legendary, each time Flame Shock deals periodic damage, increase the damage of your next Lava Lash by 12% and reduce the cooldown by a half a second. So pretty decent, especially when you have the improved Lava Lash. It's alright. Melee attacks with Flame Tongue activate. Good lord, I'm going to try that again. Melee attacks with Flame Tongue activate. Melee attacks with Flame Tongue active increase the damage the target takes from your next Lava Lash by 35, stacking up to 10 times. So I think that's going to be the easy, well, I don't know. Both of them are good. Again, it's going to come down to theory crafting and how much Lava Lash does. And if increased damage by 35 is going to be noticeable. I'm kind of guessing it's not. So I'm going to go with Primal Lava Actuators. I'm gotta take Improved Maelstrom. Gotta take Raging Maelstrom. See, I just want to take all of these, but I feel like you have to take Elemental Weapons. You're gonna have to take Windfury Totem. I'm assuming you're going to in a raid. Crash Lightning. See, this is obviously an AoE talent. I can't imagine this being something useful for single target. We also have Ice Strike. Strike your target with an icy blade, dealing 115% of attack power, frost damage, and snaring them by 50%. Ice Strike increases the damage of your next frost shock by 100%. Over 120% of spell power, which is, I mean, that's a fair amount. I mean, this does strike your target with an icy blade. So I look at this and I'm like, it does half as much as Storm Strike, and it buffs Frost Shock, which is, I feel like that's going to be good. 3.3% of base mana. I've also noticed that a lot of this is mana, which I don't know if I love. Actually, I'm gonna hold off on this and see what's over here, because I'm gonna want everything on this tree, and this is why I think this is a good tree, because I want everything. For single target, we're gonna want Forceful Winds. We're gonna want Unruly Winds. We'll probably want Doom Winds. Sundering, I mean, that always does good damage, right? Elemental Blast does good damage, and I gotta open these up by taking some of these. So I've decided I'm not taking Crash Lightning, but I want to get down to open up one of these, and Hot Hand is going to be a good single target. Melee auto attacks with Flame Tongue active have 5% chance to reduce the cooldown of Lava Lash by 75%. And increase the damage of Lava Lash by 100% for 8 seconds. So I'm wondering actually how this is going to work with Primal Lava Actuators. Increase the damage. So, I mean, I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to take Storm Flurry, because Storm Strike is awesome. And Hot Hand. So basically, I have a 5% chance to reduce the cooldown of Lava Lash by 75% and increase the damage of Lava Lash by 100% for 8 seconds. But this also increases the damage of my next Lava Lash by 12 seconds and reduces the cooldown by a half a second. So if you get a couple of Flame Shocks up and you have Hot Hand and Primal Lava Actuators, you could just be smacking away with your offhand for Lava Lash. And if you buff it up enough, it could be pretty solid. So I look at this and I say, okay, I have Hot Hand opens up Ascendance and Feral Spirits, and Elemental Blast gives me Primordial Wave. So we can kind of have fun with whatever now. We need 2 spells. We need 2 talents. Let's see what we have here. I don't remember. Stormbringer, your special attacks have a 5% chance to reduce the remaining cooldown. To reset the remaining cooldown on Storm Strike. That seems really good. That sounds good. That sounds fun. Improved Stormbringer also causes your next Storm Strike to deal 25% additional damage. Yeah, I like those. That sounds great. So I'm foregoing Ice Strike, which will be important in a little bit. So I'm actually, I mean, I think all of the trees, and I'm just gonna test it out right now. I think all of the trees have been set up so that you can get to the bottom on 2 of them. You could actually take all 3. You just won't be able to fully buff one of them. Actually, does this? Okay, so maybe I don't want haste. Yeah, you could, in theory, take all 3, which is actually kind of interesting. I didn't think of that. But I think this 12-second haste buff every 45 seconds is going to be real nice. I mean, it's only 6%, but hey, that's going to be pretty good. Storm Strike damage, single target, that's kind of our thing, so I'm going to go ahead with that. Ooh, ooh, but if I take both of those, I can't buff everything. So I love this because it really makes you think. And by what I mean by that is all of these are pretty good. So the only way to know what the best way is to theorycraft. Is to look it up on Icy Veins and Wowhead. That's gonna be what we need to do. There's just no two ways about it. I can't really see multiple situations calling for different talents, unless, no, I really can't. I think Ascendance will be really good every 3 minutes, but I think you'll want the Feral Spirits every, if we go single target, you'll want the Feral Spirits every 90 seconds. You can get 2 Feral Spirits for every Ascendance. And if you take, actually, it's funny that you can take Alpha Wolf without even having Crash Lightning. Kind of silly, but I think with Alpha Wolf and Crash Lightning for AoE purposes, along with Fire Nova or Hailstorm, I think we could be sitting pretty. I like it. Each Crash Lightning. So if you do take Crash Lightning, you can take Gathering Storms, which each target hit by Crash Lightning increases the damage of your next Storm Strike. I don't remember if there's that synergy with Chain Lightning as well. So Chain Lightning, each target hit by Chain Lightning reduces the cooldown of Crash Lightning by 1 second. So you could basically use your Maelstrom Weapon stacks on that as well. So I love the Enhancement Tree. The class tree is where I have a lot of issues. And I've already expressed that I do not like most of what's going on down here. Lightning Lasso is fine, Thundershock is fine. I kind of wish we could have both, but I guess I'm fine not having it. I don't love the idea of having Thunderstorm without Thundershock. I wish we could just have... I wish Lightning Lasso were over here and Thundershock were over here. But that's just me. The thing that I don't like is all of this down here. I don't think any of this, apart from Nature's Fury, helps with our damage. We have Nature's Fury, we have improved Lightning Bolt, then we have Windrush Totem, Purge, Hex, movement speed, reincarn, a little reset your totems, surging shields, poison cleansing, Tranquil Air Totem, Stone Skin Totem. None of this is exciting as Enhance. No Enhance is going to want any of this. So I think, and what I'm worried might happen is, as an Enhanced Shaman, I could see us not taking any of these. Get rid of all of this. I'll just go with this. Maybe we'll take the cooldown on it, on our movement speed, but we won't take anything else. I could see us, and this is what kind of worries me, because I don't think Blizzard want this, and I think players are going to kind of laugh if theory crafters find out that the best case scenario for damage dealing for Enhancement Shaman is to take Lava Burst. We can also get Earth Elemental from that. And we can also get Fire and Ice, which increases all fire and frost damage you deal by 3%. Remember all of this Lava Lash, Improved Lava Lash, Primal Lava Actuators, and Hot Hand? All of this could be buffed by taking this, which taking this fire and ice, which is generally for elemental. And I could definitely see this being meta. You know, it's gonna depend on tuning. You know, obviously Enhancement Shaman don't have a great amount of spell power, but if it always crits, we're always gonna have Flame Shock up. This is always gonna crit. This is almost always gonna be better than our Lightning Bolt. You don't even need to take Lightning Bolt. You could talent into Elemental Warding, and you have so many things that you don't need. You know, I'll take Thunderous Pause for crying out loud. And then if I do Thunderous Pause, because Thunderous Pause removes snares and increases your movement speed, you don't need Spirit Walk, which removes movement impairing effects. Maybe. You know, I'll take Gust of Wind. Reset the cooldown on that Gust of Wind. Cool. I still have 6 talents to spend. And do I want to spend it on healing? Do I want to spend it on a Hex? Do I want to spend it on a Purge? Cleanse Spirit? Maybe a Cleanse Spirit. Fine. Throw my healer a bone, I guess. But Spirit Walker's Grace, God, if it is meta for us to have Lava Burst, Earth Elemental, and Spirit Walker's Grace, where we can just run around casting Elemental Blast and Lava Burst, I think that's going to be a big miss by Blizzard. I think that's going to be pretty bad. One thing to note here, since you're running this, I will legitimately call this the Fire and Ice build. When this is meta, I will call it the Fire and Ice build. And when we have this, I'm not buffing my Storm Strike. I'm not buffing all of that. Oh, I lost all of that down there. I'm not buffing that. I'm not taking Stormbringer, which is so weird to say as an Enhancement Shaman. You know, I'll take Storm Flurry just so I can get to Hot Hand. You know, like if we take Lava Burst and Fire and Ice, I'm taking Ice Strike because that frost damage is buffed. Swirling Maelstrom, Ice Strike, and Fire Nova also grant you 2 stacks of Maelstrom Weapon. Well, guess I just decided I'm taking Fire Nova and over Hailstorm. That could be that could be something that could be reworked. Could be like if Hailstorm hits an additional target, then you can grant 2 stacks of Maelstrom. So I think Swirling Maelstrom could actually be updated. But and then you can go, I mean, Primordial Wave puts a Flame Shock. Yeah, that's a Flame Shock. That's buffed. Feral Spirits. I mean, if you do Feral Spirits with Elemental Spirits, do your Fire and Frost Spirits do more damage? Maybe. I think that could be a really interesting thing to look at. But I worry that Enhancement Shaman are gonna want something like this. I can't even think of what else I'd want to use this on. Maybe improve Lightning Bolt for kicks and giggles. Sure, I'll take Lightning Lasso. I don't really want that. Maybe that, just in case I do take damage. Like, I could see the Enhancement Shaman being very top heavy on the class tree. And I don't know if that's intentional. I would imagine not. I would imagine Blizzard wants us to rush to these on the bottom, because that's the feel good. That's the I've worked so hard to get, you know, it requires level 70. Like, you've leveled up all the way to 70. Congratulations. What talent are you gonna take? I think I'll take Earth Elemental. Like, that is not going to feel great. You'll level with Earth Elemental, I'm sure, but that's not going to feel great, you know, especially for Blizzard. Having designed all of this just to see that no one's using it as enhance. The enhancement tree, the spec specific tree, I think is great. There's a lot of kind of flexibility in how you'd play. You could really be focused on that fire and ice build, like I mentioned. You could really focus on buffing up your Stormbringer or buffing up your Storm Strike with Stormbringer. You could get all three of these big cooldowns down here, as well as Doom Winds, which is probably a pretty good talent for where it is on the talent tree. So I think this is pretty good. I'm super excited to play with it and kind of see how it plays. Another concern I do have, and this is my last concern. Already an issue with Enhancement Shaman, but I think this just exacerbates it to an extreme. So you got Storm Strike, you got Lava Lash, you're gonna have Flame Shock, you got Frost Shock. You know, if you take, I mean, obviously you're gonna have to have Windfury down. You might have Feral Lunge. Okay, let me start that over. You have Storm Strike, you have Lava Lash, you have Flame Shock, you have Frost Shock, and that just builds Maelstrom Weapon. You're gonna have Elemental Blast, you're gonna have Lightning Bolt, you're gonna have maybe Lava Burst. You know, that's 7 buttons right there. Let alone you have cooldowns of, don't forget that Windfury Totem. That Windfury Totem's got to be up all the time. And then you have Doom Winds, you have Primordial Wave, you have Feral Spirits, you have Ascendance. You're going to also have Capacitor Totem, Astral Shift, Chain Lightning for when you need that, AoE situations. You might have Thunderstorm, you might have Lightning Lasso. There are just, you have Wind Shear, you're going to have a Cleanse. There are just a lot of buttons that you're going to have to press. And it's going to be a key binding nightmare. So that's one thing I noticed as I was going through this, is that almost everything up here for your utility adds a button that you are going to need to have, and that's going to be a lot. So I'm a little hesitant on this. Currently, I don't know if I'm going to be maining enhancement going into Dragonflight. I think if the class tree kind of gets cleaned up a little bit and has at least some benefit for enhancement numbers wise, I think I could definitely see myself playing it. But I'm also just gonna have to play around with it because I don't love the Maelstrom Weapon idea. I really enjoyed the Legion and BFA Enhancement Shaman. So we'll see what it's like in Dragonflight. I'm hoping I get beta. I didn't get alpha because I'm a nobody, but we'll see what happens, and hopefully fill you in with more content going further. If you are not watching this currently on Twitch, hi everyone on Twitch. If you're not currently watching this on Twitch, you are definitely watching this on my YouTube channel, so hit me up over on Twitch. I'll put a link down in the description to my channel, and we'd love to have you over sometime, so come on over, say hi, and play along. So with that, I am going to leave you with my thoughts. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you think these are good? Are you excited to play Enhance, or are you hoping for a different class, or maybe you're gonna try a different shaman spec? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. See ya.